Hey guys, Clint here. It's a bright Sunday afternoon. I thought I'd make a quick video answering some questions that were sent in. Now, Ren sent in some questions about working with clients in revisions. I'll read off a couple of those and I'll go into my answers. Alright, Ren asked, do you have any thoughts on how to manage revisions requested by clients? I was reminded of some horror stories from people I know who seemingly had clients who didn't know what they wanted and ended up being a sort of nightmare situation with endless revisions. Is there a way to prevent revisions or some rule of thumb that we could use? Man, I feel your pain with that. Now, from art side, I've had some clients that really wanted revisions before, but I saw that a lot more when I was doing graphic design. I did that professionally for about 8 years, and every now and then you come across those clients that really can make your life difficult and make your scheduling difficult because they ask for so many revisions. Now let's start with some solutions that you can do from your side. One is put a revision clause in the contract. Certainly if you have not worked with this client before, if it's a project of any decent size, it should be in contract, and you need a contract clause. Now that contract clause is going to say something like the client, and it would be them, has the right to request perhaps 3 minor changes and 1 major change throughout the course of the project. Now, it can be splitting hairs about what you might consider a minor or major change. You're always going to have some technicality there. But a minor change, say, if we're talking about art, would be changing the color of someone's robe or clothes, changing from red to blue, adding some more detail somewhere. And it would be shifting an element in an image from one spot to another. It's not a big change. No, they can request a couple of those in order to fit their taste. That's fine. Or they could request one larger change. Say that they gave you the brief of what they're looking for in the description, and you work up the sketch, you send it to them, and they say, oh, you know what, that's pretty good, but actually we decided that we're going to make the character a male instead of a female, and it's going to be at night instead of the day. Well, that's not going to be a quick change. There's a lot of elements that go into a change like that. So that would be a major change. If they're going to be changing like the entire lighting situation, the entire character design, maybe moving into a completely different viewpoint, that's going to be a major change. And you need to list in there how many of those they get. Now, I personally go with a 3 minor, 1 major, and that works pretty well. It gives both sides some play. Okay, other things. Notify your client before changes are made past those allotted in the contract. Okay, so they've used up their 3 minor changes, their major change, and then they come back to you again and say, oh, you know what, additionally, could you also do X, Y, and Z? Now, you don't just rush out and do that. What you need to do is either call them or you need to email them and make it very clear that if you proceed with these changes, they will be changes outside the allotted contract. Not that you won't do them, but they will be an extra charge in order to make those changes. And then quote them the charge that it will be at. Now, generally, changes like that are done with an hourly rate in mind. Say, oh, that's how I did in graphic design anyway. Anything past this contract is going to be X dollars an hour, and I estimate that it will take this many hours to make that change. I want to confirm that you are okay to proceed with this extra charge and this change. And just lets them know where you are, and you're not going to be adding on a fee that they come back later and say, oh man, I'm sorry, I simply did not realize that it was going to be extra for that. So notify them before you proceed with those changes. All right, yeah, quote them the price of what it'll be. It could be a flat rate. You could say, you know what, I'll make that change for this price and not by an hour. Either way is fine, whatever works for you. Okay, now, if it's really bad, if you've gone through this back and forth and they're burning your time and you're not making any headway, do consider actually dropping the client. All right, not every client and every artist is going to be a perfect fit. And sometimes it's worth dropping the project and the client. And what I mean by that is you come to them and you're not aggressive in any way. Do not come across aggressive. Just explain to them that, you know, this project is moving on much slower, not making as much headway as we need to, and your schedule is being just destroyed by their project, and you're not being able to move ahead with the rest of your clients, and that's not fair to the rest of your clients. So what you're willing to do is just drop the project, say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to drop it here. You do not charge them anything for the time that you've put into it, and you do not give them any files. So they get nothing, you get nothing, and you simply recognize that this is not a good situation, it's not working, and you go your separate ways. Don't badmouth them later. Don't worry about it. Just say, hey, sometimes it happens, and you go on. Okay, talking about giving them files, you don't give them files in that case. Also, if you're working with a new client and they want to see a sketch or a progression image, see where things are, that's fine. You know, keep them up to date. Don't send them the full resolution files. Just send them low resolution. We're talking, you know, 800 or 900 pixels, big enough that they can certainly see what's going on, but not high enough quality that they could print it up in any decent size and have a good product, because it's going to be grainy at that size. Just big enough that they can see on the screen, you know, 800-900 pixels, and it's going to work for just proofing process. You only send them those until you receive your money. Then you send them the high resolution files. Now, some companies will request just a high resolution JPEG that's flat. They just want a final image that they can put up on the website or put into print. Other ones will want the layered version of the source file. And you just want to make clear what they're looking for as far as final files. And you give them what they want. I mean, they paid for it. Usually on the ones that want the layered file, I will create what I might consider a streamlined version of my layered file. That is, I generally collect throughout the process in my Photoshop files layers that don't really have anything to do with the final printing, such as, you know, I might have 8 different reference photos that I have in my Photoshop file that I would have next to my image while I was painting. Well, they don't need the references in there. Or I might have layers that have just selections that I can click on that layer and grab the selection of it, the shape. Well, they don't need that either, because that's not going to be printed. So I'll streamline those out by deleting and all that, and then send them the layered file that I have. Okay, next point. Okay, new clients. All right, working with new clients. From what Ren was saying, it sounded like they or their friend, I forget who they were speaking about, were working with clients that had a hard time defining what they wanted. And you will generally find that with people who have not worked with artists before, artists or designers, and they're not very good at visualizing the final product. And they don't know how to direct an artist. They don't know what information to give. So they can be really tricky to work with. I'm not saying don't work with them, but you're going to have to do the extra work. You're going to have to make up for the fact that they don't really know how to work with an artist. So you need to be on top of your game as far as defining exactly what they want. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. Ask very intelligent questions. Just go through it and say, well, this is what I have in mind. I'm thinking that we use this viewpoint, and I'm focusing on conveying this mood with the image, and we're having this deadline, and it's going to be an XYZ style, and it's going to be on this size. And before you go through all the sketching process, you figure out as much as you can, and you get them preferably to write it out. Say, okay, I'm glad I could talk to you on the phone and go through all that. What I would like you to do is write it out in an email of what we talked about, just so I don't forget anything, and send it to me, and I'll start the sketches. That way, if there's any dispute or any misunderstanding, you can go back and say, okay, in your email, this is specifically what you asked for, and this is why I gave you X, Y, Z, because I thought it would convey over here. All right, get them to specify as much as they can. It's also a good idea to also have them provide references. If there is a similar image that they like, have them send that to you. Most of the time they will. They will have collected some image that they thought was similar to what they wanted. Send one that has a similar look or style or mood, anything that's relevant that they would like you to incorporate part of that look. That can be very helpful. Part of that is that some clients know just enough about art or design to be dangerous. It's like they say, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. It's maybe they took a couple of art classes in high school or college, and they know a little bit, and they start trying to think they can tell you how to do your work. And in one way it's true because they're a client and they're telling you, but you have to learn how to sift through what they're saying to figure out what they're actually meaning. And those are the things that I usually find with the new clients. I'm saying clients that are new to working with artists. Now, personally, I've found it to be smoother working with the larger companies. For instance, with Wizards, they are very particular about who they work with, and I don't have them to ask revisions a lot. There's, we make some tweaks occasionally, but as far as major revisions, it doesn't happen that often, and I generally have a smoother project from start to finish with the bigger companies. And in the end, that saves you a lot of time and it saves you a lot of headache. So the higher up the echelon you can go, the better it's probably going to be, and you're not going to have to be doing so much legwork because your clients can't define what they want. All right, let me give a quick look over, make sure I've answered all the questions that I was sent. All right, that does it for the questions about revisions and working with clients. It's a short video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you have questions that you also would like answered, then just comment below or email me, follow me on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook link here I can pull up, but it's facebook.com/Cearley Art. It's my last name, Cearley Art, A-R-T. Now, out there I have my scheduling. I go to quite a few Magic tournaments. If you want to drop by, see me, maybe you're not even a Magic player, you just want to chat art, pick up a print, whatever. Come by. Check out where I'm going to be. I've got some sketches out there that I do at the Magic tournaments, newly released images, that sort of thing. And of course, it's a great place that you can just, send me messages or give me ideas for following videos. Also out there, you can find my ebook. I wrote an ebook It's problem solving, the 10 common mistakes. I got a link to that on my Facebook. You can check that out. But as always, good luck to you guys. Happy painting. And I'll get you next time.